Well, hello, welcome back. Today we will be driving from New Hampshire to New York City. We are covering 4 states in about 4 hours. We just left New Hampshire and now we are in Massachusetts. And when we get to New York City, we will be staying with a couple of friends and staying for about 2.5 days. So here we go. So we're in Massachusetts and we're just getting gas at a gas station before we make our way. We decided we wanted to get Dunkin' Donuts and we look on the map. It says that there's one right next to the gas station. And we're like, sweet. James looks over. He's like, I think that's Dunkin'. So we drive over. It says Dippin' Donuts. So it was an imposter Dunkin' Donuts. I guess the Dunkin' Donuts was actually in the gas station. We didn't realize it. Didn't have a drive-through, so jeepers. First time in Connecticut. Checking Connecticut off the list. There was no sign, but now we're back in New York. Good morning. It is day 21 of our trip and we are gonna head into town and see some sights. have somewhere we want to be at 4, but we're enjoying ourselves. Plus, James is used to rowing. He's a pro. We're doing the world record version of the boat ride. Apparently this is the Sbarro that Michael Scott goes to when he visits New York. Howdy, it's day 22 of our trip, and now we are going to see a few more things before we start on our trek back home.
Welcome to New Jersey.
What? Where's the sign? What kind of little tiny sign was that? Guess we're in New Jersey. Had a little teeny tiny sign I could barely see. And I think this is another state that both of us have never been to before. Woohoo!
Almost heaven, West Virginia.
Alrighty, so we are in West Virginia, close to the Kentucky border, and It's possible that this may be a state that neither of us have been to before. However, I'm not positive because my family, when they moved from Virginia to Las Vegas, I was one, so I don't know if they went this way or not. But we are checking that off the list either way. We left late last night from New York, making our way westward, and we are officially heading back home. So we are stopping along the way in Louisville and then continuing on after that. So we are on this random little road, I wasn't expecting this, that is taking us to the corner of Kansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma. We decided it's right off the freeway. Might as well throw Kansas into the mix, check it off the list for this trip. So this random little dirt road is taking us to the corner. This is so weird. This isn't what I was expecting at all. I'm in all 3 states. Oklahoma, where the... Hello, it is now day 25 of our trip, which is crazy to think about. We are getting so close to being done here and wrapping it up. We are now leaving Tulsa, Oklahoma, where we visited with James's cousin for a little bit. We are making our way to Albuquerque, New Mexico today, and then the day after that should be our last day. So we are about halfway across the country now. So now that we're in Texas, we only have one more new state that we are visiting on this trip. Otherwise, the ones that we are visiting are the states that we started in. So next is New Mexico. James has been there, but I'm not sure if I've been there or not. That's one of those question mark states. So either way, we're on our way to New Mexico. So we just counted it up, and I'm pretty sure that this is the 25th state that we have visited on this trip that we've driven through, and New Mexico will be 26. So that means that we've visited half of the US on this trip, which is just bonkers to me. The driving diagonally across on kind of a little bit of a more northern route and then taking a slightly southern route down, you hit 26 states. Now, we did add a couple, you know, that weren't necessarily on the route, but they were really just a tiny bit off of the freeways. I was not expecting that this would end up being how many states we've gone through, but it's just, it's cool. It's crazy, but it's cool. I've ever been to Flagstaff before, but it's really surprisingly green and pretty and mountainy, and I wasn't expecting that. And now we're seeing the LA mileage on signs again, and it's kind of nice. I mean, we've had a great trip, but it'll also be nice to get back home. It is day 27 of our trip, and it's our last day. We just left Laughlin, Nevada, and it's a little less than a 5-hour drive back home. Today's actually our anniversary, so we thought it might be fun to stay at a resort in Laughlin, which we did last night, and we swam in the river, the Colorado River, which was kind of an interesting experience. I don't know if I've ever swam in a river before. It was pretty cold, but it's not really unlike the Pacific Ocean. Not sure I'd recommend visiting Laughlin, but we had a nice little time. Although we did have a lovely trip, it was a long one, and we are excited to get back home to the kiddies, who I'm sure missed us very much. Laughlin is right at the corners of Nevada, California, and Arizona, so we are already in California, but I didn't get a video of the sign because we were on a random street that didn't have one. But yes, we are finally back in California after a long 27 days, and luckily we have one of our shortest drives on our trip ahead of us, because I think if we would have ended with a really long day, we would have been pretty cranky. So onward we go. Alrighty, we have finally made it back into the LA area. Nothing like LA traffic on a Saturday at 3 p.m. We knew what we got ourselves into when we moved here. So, some thoughts on our trip now that we're pretty much all done. I'm really happy that we didn't have any crazy car troubles or anything bad happen to us along the way. We did get pretty low on oil right before Laughlin, so we had to stop and get some and top it off. But other than that, we were really lucky. I'm really glad that we made sure that most of our drives were maybe about 9 hours at the most. I'm happy that we didn't have multiple really, really long days. It ended up taking us 8 days to get from Southern California to New Hampshire. But it wasn't 8 full days of driving because 2 of the nights we stayed in Vegas to start with. And then we took about half a day to get from New Hampshire to New York, which was only maybe 4.5 hours or so, maybe less. And then we took 6 days to get from New York all the way back to Southern California. And again, that wasn't full days either, because the first day we only drove about 2 or 3 hours. And it was interesting because going through these time zone changes kind of slowly and gradually was nice, and it didn't feel too jarring. Obviously on the way back, getting an hour back with each time zone was a lot easier on us. But altogether, this was much more enjoyable than I thought it would be. Maybe in the future we'll do something like this again. So if you're ever thinking of doing a long road trip in the car, you may be surprised. If you plan it well and don't try to overdo the amount of hours you drive in each day, you may enjoy yourself a lot more than you think you would. We drove across the whole country and went to so many major cities and didn't have to deal with much traffic, and it just seems like such a fitting end for us that we are so close to home and there's traffic. We may or may not have been quoting Home Alone 2 every single day since we visited the Plaza Hotel.
And it's like, credit card?
Alrighty, well this concludes our cross-country trip from the West Coast to the East Coast. If you were able to watch all 4 segments of this trip, thank you so much for doing so. Hopefully some of it was worth watching. And that is gonna do it for this week's video. Hopefully I will have some cool content in the future. I don't know what's gonna top this for a while. I'm gonna have to get creative with some ideas. So if you have any ideas, let me know. I'd love to hear them. But again, thank you so much for watching. Have an awesome week, and I hope you'll be back for next week's video.